Okay, class. So let's continue with our chapter Money and Credit, right? Economics chapter 3. So main functions of bank. So till now we have seen what was barter system. We have seen double coincidence. We have seen functions of bank, right? We have seen other names of modern currency. We have also learned functions of money. Then how money evolved, the modern coins. We have seen the problem which was faced by cattle money, commodity money, and the problem of double coincidence of bonds, right? So now we are going to learn about, we are going to start from functions of bank. Yeah? So as I told you earlier, bank has two main scenarios or two main environment or two main functions as depositors and borrowers. So now in major types of deposits, there are demand deposit, which is withdrawal at any time on demand. It includes deposit in current account and savings account. Time or term deposit, which is withdrawal after a certain period of time. It includes deposit in a fixed deposit account and recurring deposit account. That means demand deposit means any time on demand we can withdraw them. It is in current account and savings account. And time or term deposit means only after a certain period of time. So it includes deposit in fixed deposit account and recurring deposit account. Okay. So four major types of deposit accounts are there: current deposit account, savings deposit account, recurring deposit account, and fixed deposit account. So now let's see what is current deposit account. Current deposit account means no restriction in deposit, no restrictions in withdrawal, no interest is paid by the bank on deposit. Main purpose of opening such account is to provide safety to customers' cash. Which businessman and organization opens such account? That means here in this current deposit account, there is no interest given by the bank, and the main purpose of such account is to provide safety to customers' cash. And mainly big businessmen and organizations, they have current deposit account because there is no restriction to deposit, no restriction to withdrawal, but bank will not give interest on this money. That is current deposit account. Now what is savings deposit account? Here there is no restriction in deposit, but withdrawal is possible at any time subject to some restriction. That means an amount is there. For example, 3,000 amount or 3 to 5,000 amount rupees should be there in that savings account. It is not possible for us to withdraw all. If we are withdrawing all, we have to close our account. Right? So there is a certain amount which should be there in our savings deposit account, and interest is paid by the bank on this deposit. In current account, bank does not pay the interest, but in savings account, banks gives the interest. Main purpose of opening such account is savings and meeting uncertain urgencies. Small businessmen and people with low or moderate income open such account. That means in current deposits we have seen big organizations and main businessmen can only open their account. But in savings account, small businessmen and people with low or moderate income can also open savings deposit account. And the main purpose of opening such account is savings and meeting any kind of uncertain urgencies. We save our money in this savings deposit account. Next is recurring deposit account. Recurring deposit account means fixed amount is deposited at a fixed interval for a fixed period. That means if you go to the bank and you will ask that I want to make a recurring deposit account, what they are going to do is they will make a a slip for you where you have to fill your name and everything, and you will write there what is your certain amount you are going to pay or deposit at a fixed interval for a fixed period. That means every month 5,000 rupees will be debited from my savings account and it will be deposited in the recurring account for 12 months, and interest will be given by the bank, and that also a good rate of interest. For example, if I am having an account in Dena Bank, for example, okay. Now I want to start a recurring account. So what the bank is going to do is they are going to make a separate account for me, and my savings account number is I am going to save in that recurring account, and from that savings account a certain amount 3,000 rupees per month will be debited from my savings account and credited in my recurring account. That is, for example, it will be the salary which I get. From my salary on 10th date or 15th date, 3,000 rupees will be debited and it will be credited in my recurring account. Every month this is going to happen, and at the end of my period, that is 12 months, I will be getting that amount with the good rate of interest which is paid by the bank. And mostly recurring account is mostly for 1 year, and the next year you can renew it, or you can take the amount and again deposit it in the recurring account, and then again it start getting debited from your savings account. So it's up to you. And the withdrawal is only on the maturity. That means after that 1 year, you will be getting a paper from the bank where everything is written, that 3,000 rupees per month till 12 months, rate of interest, total amount of the maturity, and there is a paper which you will get. That paper you have to keep it safely with you, and during the maturity time, you have to take that paper with you to the bank and you can withdraw the money. Main purpose of opening such account is capital formation and savings, and I have to say that this is the best savings we can do is recurring deposit account. It's very good and it is a capital formation and savings for a person. People with regular income usually open such accounts. Recurring deposit account is usually opened by people who are having regular income. Next is fixed deposit account. Fixed deposit account means it is deposited for a fixed period. That is, if I have started this fixed deposit account and I will pay or I will deposit 1 lakh rupees in that account, and I will say that I want this after 12 years or after 15 years. I have given the I have done all the formality, and in fixed deposit I am going to get higher rate of interest, right? In savings account it is little bit low rate of interest, recurring account it is a good rate of interest, and in fixed deposit it is high rate of interest because we are getting a good amount from the person or from the depositor. So the bank always pay high rate of interest for fixed deposit. And what is the main purpose of opening such account? It is to earn interest and save for certain future needs. That's why fixed deposit is good. And people having no other investment options and with some certain future needs deposits in a fixed deposit account, for them that is an investment which they can use after the certain maturity period. Demand deposit is a modern form of money. Now in money the modern forms have been established a lot. So demand deposit is considered as a modern form of money, in that money in demand deposit can be withdrawn at any time through check, ATM and etc. It can be used to make payment or purchase at any time through check, debit card, net banking, etc. It has purchasing power. Anything having purchasing power is money. Therefore, demand deposit is a money. That means we are having a debit card with us. We can have net banking. So we are having purchasing power, right? And this anything having purchasing power is considered as money. So demand deposit is considered as money. As I told you, whenever we want to purchase anything online, we directly go to the site, we find the thing what we want and we pay. Place order and pay through our card. So what is that? That is demand deposit. That is giving us purchasing power. So money in demand deposit is very good. Check, ATM and debit card, net banking with the help of which we can do payment and purchase and all. So that is known as demand deposit and it is a modern form of money. Modern form of money, that means money is anything that has purchasing power. Demand deposit has purchasing power. It can be used to make payment or to purchase, therefore demand deposit is money. So money equals to purchasing power. Demand deposit is equal to purchasing power is equal to money. That's why demand deposit is considered as money, because it is having purchasing power. And anything which is having purchasing power is considered as money. This is check. You all must have seen check, right? Check, it is a written document with which a depositor order his banker to pay a certain amount to himself or to the bearer or to a certain person. That means if we are going to pay to a person, if we are going to pay to a company, we write the company's name, we write the rupees in words, we write the rupees in number, we give our signature, we write account pay there. But if we want to give it to the bearer, we can click it on bearer and so whoever is going with the check, he will get the money. So check is considered as a written document which helps us in the transaction of money. Now there are different features of check. Check is a written document prescribed form provided by bank. It is written by a depositor to his banker. It carries an order to pay a certain sum of money from the deposit. It is a modern form of money as it can be used to take payment. So this is a thing, a written document which is written by the depositor to the banker telling him or saying him in order to pay a certain sum of money from the deposit, that is from the account, and it is considered as a modern form of money. Essential components of a check. Now what all things are very much necessary in a check is signature of depositor, name of the payee, it can be self, it can be bearer, it can be other any third party. Amount must be specific and written in both words and numbers. Date of drawing or making. Account number of the deposit. So these are the main essential components which should be present in the check. If you will take a check without the signature of depositor, then that check will be not accepted. Name of the payee should be there. Amount should be very specific in written in words and numbers. There should not be any kind of mistake. Date should be there and account number of the depositor is always printed in the check. Now there are different modern forms of money. Card money, plastic money, debit card, credit card, smart card, health card, digital cash, that is net banking, mobile banking, bank money, that is check, demand, draft, banker's check, etc. and credit. So these are some of the different modern forms of money, which is digital cash, bank money, credit, card money, plastic money. So all these are important. So it is considered as modern form of money. Next is credit. Credit is an arrangement in which one's financial need is satisfied with the money or resource of another with the promise to repay in future. That means credit is considered as an arrangement where one person's financial need is satisfied with the money or resource of another with a promise to repay in future. Now here we can see the thing I have made this graph type, a promise to pay in future, A and B, cash, goods and services. So now, what is the role of credit in development? So when here we are talking about development, we have to also think that money plays an important role in the economic development. So credit makes proper use of excess money of the depositors by channelizing it to a profitable investment. In this way, it maximizes the use of country's worth, enables the borrower to invest more than their resources available with them, maximizes the use of resources by providing working capital, helps the lenders to earn interest from the savings. That means credit helps credit whatever the excess money is there of the depositor. We can properly use it for profitable investment. It helps the borrower to invest more than their resources available with them. That means if I want the loan, but I don't have the money with me that much. I want 5 lakhs, but from that only 2 lakh I have. 3 lakh I need from someone. So of course I can apply for a loan in the bank and the bank will lend me the money. But with that I have to promise the bank that I will be repaying the loan with interest within this period of time. Then only bank is going to give you the loan. So a role of credit in development is very good because we are able to invest more than whatever we have with us in resources. And of course the lenders, those who are lending the money, those who are doing this credit, they are able to earn a good rate of interest. Next, terms of credit. Different conditions in which the borrower and the lender agreed before granting or taking a loan. What are the things what should be taken in mind when we are granting or taking a loan is the rate of interest, the mode of repayment, collateral, documentation required, etc. That means, as I told you earlier, all these things have to be taken care that when we are going to repay back, how we are going to repay, have we kept any collateral security against the loan, what are the documentation, what is the rate of interest, all these things are taken into consideration while we are going for credit. Now here are mentioned some of the sources of credit. The individual or organization who grants loan. Banks, NBFI, cooperatives, family members, friends, traders, money lenders. These are some of the sources of credit. Now from these, bank, NBFI, cooperative, family members, friends, traders, money lenders, let us divide these sources of credit into two parts, that is formal sources and informal sources. Now formal sources means those sources which are controlled by Reserve Bank of India, where proper documentation is required, where legal proceedings can follow if we are not paying the loan properly, reasonable and justified rate of interest will be there, it is granted for productive purpose only, and if any kind of failure in repaying the loan amount is there, then there can be a legal proceedings which is followed to recover the loan from the borrower. These are some of the points for formal sources. Now informal sources means they are not controlled by anyone, and as formal sources having reasonable and justified rate of interest, informal sources having mostly high and unjust rate of interest. It is granted for any purpose. There is some documentation or sometimes documentation is not required there. Lender can take any measure to recover loan if the borrower fails to repay. So from seeing these differences, we can always know that formal sources is the best sources to get our loan approved. We should not go to any kind of money lenders or traders because they are going to take high rate of interest from us, and if we are unable to repay, then they can go to any extent to get their money back. So always we should try to go for formal sources of credit. Now if we are going for formal sources of credit, what are the advantages? One is that is low rate of interest is there. They adopt judicious policy to recover money. Grant loans only for productive purpose, so there is debt trap is very less there. The borrowers, they help them for effective utilization of loan amount and also promote the development. Interest rate is fixed here considering the prevailing market and economic condition, and therefore the risk of borrowers are less. But if we go to see what is in informal sources of resources, their advantages are they are very easy in process and instant credit, and sometimes documentation is there, sometimes documentation is not there, but they grant the loan, and to get it back from the borrower they can go to any extent, and also the high rate of interest is there. So in advantage, if we see, full of high level of autonomy in utilization of fund is there, free to fix the loan amount and date and mode of repayment. Loans are granted to meet all kind of financial needs. So these are the advantages of informal. Now let us see the limitations of formal. If we go to limitations of formal, they grant only secured loans. So the people without proper collateral cannot borrow. Long process and high documentation is needed. Less autonomy in utilization of fund. Difficult to get loan to meet small financial needs, and it grants loan only for projects that are productive in their eyes, located at far from the borrowers, particularly in rural areas. So these are some of the limitations of formal sources of credit. Now if we will see informal sources of credit limitations, it's high rate of interest. There is no conditions for repayment. Undue and unnecessary interference in utilization of fund will be there. Unjust and unethical means of recovery of loan if the borrower fails to repay. It can be unjust and unethical means of recovery. So it has to be very sure that we always go for a formal source of credit where the people is under the control, or the cooperatives or the banks are under the control of RBI. So whatever they are doing will be judicious one. They will not go for any kind of unjust or unethical means of recovery. Now, do credit is always beneficial? From this slide, we will be learning in the next session. So I believe whatever we have learned today, you have understood it. Thank you.